Every man who has ever been called unstoppable, unmovable, magnetic, visionary. Every man who has ever walked into a room and changed its temperature without saying a word was running on something. Something that most men around him were burning through without a second thought. Something ancient texts tried to describe, and modern science is only now beginning to measure. This video is about that something, and more specifically, it is about what Tantra, the most sophisticated energy science ever developed, says happens when a man stops wasting it and starts forging it. We have covered every dimension of this transformation in this video. Every superpower, every mechanism, every stage of the forging process, the neuroscience, the tantric anatomy, the psychology, the lived experience, everything. Which is why this video is long. I am asking you to watch at least till the 8-minute mark, because by then you will not be looking at your sexual energy the same way ever again. Not even slightly. Let's begin. Tantra opens with a statement that reframes everything. It says male sexual energy is not what you think it is. You think it is a biological drive, a reproductive urge, something the body generates and the mind struggles to manage. Tantra says no. What you are carrying in your sexual center is Shakti, the same primordial force that the Kashmir Shaivite tradition describes as the creative explosion through which the entire universe came into existence and continues to exist in every moment. Condensed, localized, temporarily housed in your body. Tantra is not being poetic here. This is its foundational cosmological claim, and it matters because it means that when Tantra talks about turning male sexual energy into a superpower, it is not talking about a self-improvement project. It is talking about a man learning to consciously wield the same force that builds worlds. That is the scale of what is available. That is what the Forge is working with. Now let's talk about what it actually forges. The first superpower Tantra forges from male sexual energy is physical invincibility. And before you dismiss that word, stay with me, because Tantra is extremely specific about the mechanism. It says that male sexual energy in its raw form is called Shukra, the vital essence. And when a man retains Shukra and begins moving it upward through conscious practice rather than expelling it downward, Tantra says it undergoes a precise alchemical transformation inside the body. It becomes Ohas. The Tantric and Ayurvedic texts describe Ohas as the ultimate refined product of vital energy. The physical and immunological gold that the body produces when its deepest resources are being cultivated rather than drained. Tantra says it takes a staggering amount of raw Shukra to produce even a small quantity of Ojas, which is why men who have never retained, never cultivated, never practiced, look the way they look. And why men deep in this practice carry something in their physical presence that cannot be faked, cannot be purchased, cannot be produced by any supplement or protocol on earth. Ojas is what gives a man his skin luminosity, his physical resilience, his immune strength, his endurance that doesn't crack under pressure. It is what makes certain men look younger as they age instead of older. It is what makes a man's handshake feel different, his physical presence feel like something you walk into rather than simply see. Tantra says this is not metaphor. This is the first and most immediate result of sexual energy being forged rather than released. The body itself becomes the first superpower. And here's the question I want you to drop in the comments right now. Have you experienced a visible physical shift since you began cultivating your sexual energy? Not just feeling better, but people reacting to your physical presence differently? Because what you experienced has a name in Tantra, and what you felt was just the beginning of the forge. But Tantra does not stop at the body, because the body is only the first chamber of the forge. The second superpower Tantra forges from male sexual energy is something far more terrifying to the ordinary world: unbreakable will. Here is where the tantric teaching gets precise in a way that should hit every man in this audience, like a physical force. Tantra says that as Ojas builds in the body, the rising sexual energy reaches the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus center associated with the fire element, with personal power, with the capacity to act from intention rather than reaction. And Tantra says something about this center that no motivational framework, no productivity system, no psychological model has ever said with this level of anatomical specificity. It says that Manipura is literally fed by rising sexual energy, that the fire of will, the capacity to say this is what I am doing, and then do it regardless of resistance, regardless of discomfort, regardless of what the world throws back, is not a personality trait. It is not discipline in the psychological sense. It is an energetic condition. It is what happens when the forge has enough fuel. This is why men who begin serious sexual energy cultivation report a shift in their relationship to action that feels almost alien to their previous selves. Not motivation. Motivation is weather, it comes and goes. This is something structural, something that doesn't require mood or inspiration or the right circumstances. Tantra says this is Manipura being fed, the fire center receiving the fuel it was always designed to run on. And when that fire is burning at full capacity, procrastination becomes physically uncomfortable. Self-betrayal becomes intolerable. The gap between knowing what to do and doing it, which for most men is a vast, paralyzing chasm, begins to close. This is the second superpower, not motivation. Will, the kind that doesn't negotiate. Now here is where the hero's journey takes its first unexpected turn. Because Tantra says that as male sexual energy continues to rise and reaches Anahata, the heart center, something happens that most men in the retention and cultivation space are completely unprepared for. Something that initially feels like a detour, but is in fact the most critical stage of the entire forging process. The energy transforms again, and this time it does not become harder, it becomes vast. The third superpower Tantra forges from male sexual energy is magnetic love. And I need you to hear exactly what Tantra means by this, because it is nothing like what that phrase usually implies. Tantra says that when refined sexual energy reaches Anahata, it stops being personal. It stops being about desire for a specific person or thing. It expands into what Tantra calls bhakti, a devotional, all-encompassing quality of consciousness that has been described by men who have reached it as a kind of devastating beauty in the experience of simply being alive. Men at this stage report something they struggle to articulate, a tenderness toward existence itself that coexists with absolute ferocity of purpose. A capacity to be genuinely, completely present with another human being in a way that makes that person feel seen at a level they have never experienced before. Tantra is absolutely clear on this. This is the sexual energy, which at its root is the universe's own creative love for itself, operating through the heart of a man who has refined it to this level. And here is what makes this a superpower in the most practical sense. The man whose heart center is alive with refined sexual energy does not need to perform charisma. He does not need techniques of influence or strategies of likability. People are drawn to him the way living things are drawn to warmth. His relationships, romantic, professional, familial, operate at a depth and intensity that most people have never experienced and cannot fully explain. Leaders with this quality build movements, not organizations. Artists with this quality create work that changes people, not just impresses them. Now the forge intensifies, because what comes next is the superpower that the world most visibly associates with extraordinary men, but almost never correctly identifies the source of. As the refined male sexual energy rises further into Vishuddha, the throat center, Tantra says it undergoes its most publicly visible transformation. It becomes what the texts call Vaksiddhi, the power of speech, but not speech in the ordinary sense. Tantra is talking about something specific, the capacity of a man's words to carry energetic weight that moves people at a level beneath rational processing. You have felt this. You have been in the presence of someone speaking and felt something shift in your body before your mind had processed the content. That is not rhetorical skill. That is not charisma training. According to Tantra, that is Ojas and Tejas, the refined products of male sexual energy, expressing through the vocal instrument. Tantra says the throat is the bridge between the inner world and the outer world. And when refined sexual energy moves through this bridge, the man's voice becomes a vehicle of force, not just information. His words carry what Tantra calls prana shakti, living energy that enters the listener and does something to them. This is the superpower that built empires, that made certain speeches, certain songs, certain teachings echo across centuries. These men were not simply articulate, and the charge came from the same source Tantra has been pointing at this entire time. Refined, cultivated, forged male sexual energy expressing through the instrument of voice. And now the forge reaches its most extraordinary chamber. Because as the refined energy moves into Ajna, the third eye center, Tantra says something happens that dismantles the ordinary understanding of what human intelligence is. The fourth superpower, and perhaps the most staggering one, that Tantra forges from male sexual energy is what the texts call Ritambara Prajna, a direct perceptual capacity that operates beyond logical inference, beyond accumulated knowledge, beyond the sequential processing of the analytical mind. Tantra says this is not intuition in the vague popular sense. It is a precise cognitive faculty, a kind of perception that sees through the surface of situations, people, and problems directly to their nature, without deliberation, without effort, without the lag time of ordinary thinking. Modern neuroscience gives us a partial map of what is happening here. When the refined sexual energy reaches the neurological structures of the upper brain, it produces what researchers studying advanced meditators call whole brain synchrony, a state where the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, and the deeper brainstem structures are operating in coherent communication rather than the fragmented competing mode that characterizes ordinary cognition. In this state, the processing capacity of the human brain operates at a level that produces what we call genius, what we call the ability to see around corners. Einstein described his deepest insights as arriving not as thoughts, but as physical sensations, a muscular knowing in the body that preceded any verbal or mathematical articulation. Tantra would say, yes, that is Kundalini Shakti touching Ajna through a man who has refined his sexual energy to that level. That is male sexual energy at its most alchemized, doing what it was always designed to do. This is the man the world calls a visionary, the one who sees what others cannot see, who moves before others know movement is necessary, whose decisions seem almost supernatural in their accuracy. Tantra says he is not special. He is simply running on fuel that other men threw away. I need to stop here, because what I just mapped for you, from the body being forged into physical invincibility, to the will becoming unbreakable, to love becoming magnetic, to the voice becoming a weapon of force, to perception becoming visionary. This is not a journey a man makes in a single video. It requires precise practices. It requires guidance at each stage. It requires men around you who have gone further and can show you what the next chamber of the forge looks like from the inside. This is exactly why our membership exists. Inside, you get the complete tantric forging process, mapped as a structured practice system for advanced men, breathwork, and bandha techniques that physically move the energy upward, stage-specific practices for each superpower, live sessions, and a brotherhood of serious men who are not theorizing about this transformation, but living it. The link is in the description. If you have watched this far, you already know you belong inside. Come in, now. Let's talk about what happens at the absolute peak of the forge. Because everything described so far, as extraordinary as it is still the process, still the journey through the chambers. What Tantra describes at the completion of the forging process is something that language was not designed to carry, but I am going to try. When refined male sexual energy completes its journey through the central channel and reaches Sahasrara, the crown center, Tantra says the final and ultimate superpower is forged. And it is not a power in the ordinary sense. It is not something the man has or uses or deploys. It is something he becomes. Tantra calls it Shivoham, I am Shiva. The recognition, not as belief, not as philosophy, but as direct lived experience, that the individual consciousness and universal consciousness are the same consciousness. That the man and the force that created the universe are not two separate things looking at each other. They are one thing that temporarily appeared to be two. And here is what Tantra says this produces in practical, visible, undeniable terms. The man at this stage operates from what Tantra calls sahaja, the natural state, a permanent, unshakable baseline of clarity, fullness, and presence that does not rise and fall with circumstances. He is not trying to be confident. He is not managing his state. He is not deploying strategies. He simply is, and what he is so complete, so full, so evidently sourced from something larger than personality or effort, that the world around him reorganizes in response to his presence. Not because he demands it, because nature responds to coherence. This is the final superpower. Not confidence, not charisma, not even genius. The complete return of male sexual energy to its source, having traveled through the body, through the will, through the heart, through the voice, through the perception, and arrived at the recognition that it was never just his energy. It was always the universe running through him. And the man who knows this, truly knows it in his body, in his bones, in every cell, is not a man who has power. He is a man who has become the source of it. Before I close, I want to ask you one final question in the comments. And I want every man watching to answer this honestly. Which of these 5 superpowers, physical invincibility, unbreakable will, magnetic love, the voice of force, visionary perception, which one are you closest to right now? And which one feels like the edge of your current transformation? Tell me, because your answer will tell both of us exactly where you are in the forge, and exactly what the next chamber looks like for you. The forge does not make you superhuman. It makes you fully human for the first time. Everything else was just the raw material waiting for the fire. You have always had the fire. Now let it forge you completely.